Vayetze, and he went out.
Genesis chapter 28, verse 10. Now Jacob departed from Beersheba, and went to Haran. And when he came unto a certain place, and tarried there all night, because the sun was down, and took of the stones of the place, and laid under his head, and slept in the same place, then he dreamed, and behold, there stood a ladder upon the earth, and the top of it reached up to heaven, and lo, the angels of God went up and down it. And behold, the Lord stood above it, and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land upon which thou sleepest will I give thee and thy seed, and thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And lo, I am with thee, and will keep thee whithersoever thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land, for I will not forsake thee until I have performed that I have promised thee. Then Jacob awoke out of his sleep, and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware. And he was afraid, and said, How fearful is this place! This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Then Jacob rose up early in the morning, and took the stone that he had laid under his head, and set it up as a pillar, and poured oil upon it, and called the name of that place Bethel, notwithstanding the name of the city was at the first called Luz. Then Jacob vowed a vow, saying, If God be with me, and keep me in this journey which I go, will give me bread to eat, and clothes to put on, so that I come again unto my father's house in safety. Then shall the Lord be my God. And this stone which I have set up as a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that thou shalt give me will I give a tenth unto thee. Genesis chapter 29. Then Jacob lifted up his feet, and came into the east country. And as he looked about, behold, there was a well in the field. And lo, 3 flocks of sheep lay thereby, for at the well there were flocks watered. And there was a great stone upon the well's mouth, and thither were all the flocks gathered. And they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in its place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, whence be ye? And he answered, We are of Haran. Then he said unto them, Know ye Laban the son of Nahor? Who said, We know him. Again he said unto them, Is he in good health? And they answered, He is in good health, and behold, his daughter Rachel cometh with the sheep. Then he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go feed them. But they said, We may not until all the flocks be brought together, and till men roll the stone from the well's mouth, that we may water the sheep. While he talked with them, Rachel also came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. And as soon as Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban his mother's brother, then came Jacob near, and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. For Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son. Then she ran and told her father. And when Laban heard tell of Jacob his sister's son, he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. To whom Laban said, Well, thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. For Laban said unto Jacob, Though thou be my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall be thy wages? Now Laban had 2 daughters, the elder called Leah, and the younger called Rachel. And Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and fair. And Jacob loved Rachel, and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. Then Laban answered, It is better that I give her thee, than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, because he loved her. Then Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, that I may go in to her, for my term is ended. Wherefore Laban gathered together all the men of the place, and made a feast. But when the evening was come, he took Leah his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her servant. But when the morning was come, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, Wherefore hast thou done this to me? Did not I serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban answered, It is not the manner of this place to give the younger before the elder. Fulfill 7 years for her, and we will also give thee this for thy service, for which thou shalt serve me yet 7 years more. Then Jacob did so, and fulfilled her 7 years. So he gave him Rachel his daughter to be his wife. Laban also gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah, his maid, to be her servant. So entered he into Rachel also, and loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served him yet 7 years more. When the Lord saw that Leah was despised, he made her fruitful, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, Because the Lord hath looked upon my tribulation, now therefore mine husband will love me. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, Because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, Now at this time will my husband keep me company, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore his name was called Levi. Moreover she conceived again and bare a son, saying, Now I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left bearing. Genesis chapter 30. And Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said unto Jacob, Give me children, or else I die. Then Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, And God said, Hath withholden from thee the fruit of thy womb? And she said, Behold, my name Bilhah. Go in to her, and she shall bear upon my knee, and I shall have children also by her. And she gave him Bilhah her maid to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. So Bilhah conceived, and bare Jacob a son. Then said Rachel, God hath given sentence on my side, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore she called his name Dan. And Bilhah Rachel's maid conceived again, and bare Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, With excellent wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and have gotten the upper hand. And she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. Then said Leah, Company cometh, and she called his name Gad. Again Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob another son. Then said Leah, Ah, blessed am I, for the daughters will bless me. And she called his name Asher. Now Reuben went in the days of the wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then said Rachel to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, my son's mandrakes. But she answered her, It is a small matter for thee to take mine husband, except thou take my son's mandrakes also. Then said Rachel, Therefore he shall sleep with thee this night, for thy son's mandrakes. Jacob came from the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, Come in unto me, for I have bought and paid for thee with my son's mandrakes. And he slept with her that night. And God heard Leah, and she conceived, and bare unto Jacob the 5th son. Then said Leah, God hath given me my reward, because I gave my maid to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. After Leah conceived again, and bare Jacob the 6th son. Then Leah said, God hath endowed me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. After that she bare a daughter, and she called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God heard her, and opened her womb. So she conceived and bare a son, and said, God hath taken away my rebuke. And she called his name Joseph, saying, The Lord will give me yet another son. And as soon as Rachel had borne Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, Send me away that I may go unto my place and to my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go, for thou knowest what service I have done thee. To whom Laban answered, If I have now found favor in thy sight, tarry. I have perceived that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. Also he said, Appoint unto me thy wages, and I will give it thee. But he said unto him, Thou knowest what service I have done thee, and in what taking thy cattle hath been under me. For the little that thou hadst before I came is increased into a multitude, and the Lord hath blessed thee by my coming. But now what shall I travail for mine own house also? And he said, What shall I give thee? And Jacob answered, Thou shalt give me nothing at all. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will return, feed, and keep thy sheep. I will pass through all thy flocks this day, and separate from them all the sheep with little spots and great spots, and all the black lambs among the sheep, and the great spotted and the little spotted among the goats. And it shall be my wages. So shall my righteousness answer for me hereafter, and it shall come for my reward before thy face. And everyone that hath not little or great spots among the goats, and black among the sheep, the same shall be left with me. Then Laban said, Go to, would it God it might be according to thy saying. Therefore he took out the same day as the he-goats that were part colored and with great spots, and all the she-goats with little and great spots, and all that had white in them, and all the black among the sheep, and put them in the keeping of his sons. And he set 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob, and Jacob kept the rest of Laban's sheep. And Jacob took rods of green poplar, and of hazel, and of the chestnut tree, and pilled white strakes in them, and made the white appear in the rods. Then he put the rods which he had pilled in the gutters and watering troughs, and the sheep came to drink before the sheep, for they were in heat when they came to drink. And the sheep were in the heat before the rods, and afterward brought forth young of part color, with small and great spots. Jacob parted these lambs, and turned the faces of the flock towards those lambs, part-colored and all manner of black, among the sheep of Laban. So he put his own flock by themselves, and put them not with Laban's flock. And in every ramming time of the stronger sheep, Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the sheep in the gutters, that they might conceive before the rods. But when the sheep were feeble, he put them not in. And so the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger were Jacob's. So the man increased exceedingly, and had many flocks, and maidservants, and menservants, and camels, and asses. Genesis chapter 31. Now he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of our father's goods. He hath gotten all this honor. Also Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, that it was not towards him as in the past. And the Lord had said unto Jacob, Turn again into the land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. Therefore Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock. Then said he unto them, I see your father's countenance, that is not towards me as it was wont, and the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that I have served your father with all my might. But your father hath deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times. But God suffereth him not to hurt me. If he thus said, The spotted shall be thy wages, then all the sheep hair spotted. And if he said thus, The party-colored shall be thy reward, then bear all the sheep's party-colored. Thus hath God taken away your father's substance, and given it me. For in ramming time I lifted my eyes, and saw in a dream, and behold, the goats leaped upon the she-goats, that were party-colored, and little and great spots. And the angel of God said to me in a dream, Jacob. And I answered, Lo, I am here. And he said, Lift up now thine eyes, and see all the he-goats leaping upon the she-goats that are partridge-colored, spotted with little and great spots. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, where thou vowedst a vow unto me. Now arise, get thee out of this country, and return unto the land where thou wast born. Then answered Rachel and Leah, and said unto him, Have we any more portion and inheritance in our father's house? Doth not he count us as strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath eaten up and consumed our money. Therefore all the riches which God hath taken from our father is ours and our children. Now then, whatsoever God saith unto thee, do it. Then Jacob arose, and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his flock. Then Jacob arose, and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his flocks and all his substance which he had gotten, to wit, his riches, which he had gotten in Paddan Aram, to go to Isaac his father unto the land of Canaan. When Laban was gone to shear his sheep, then Rachel stole her father's idols. Thus Jacob stole away the heart of Laban the Aramite, for he told him not that he fled. So fled he with all that he had, and he rose up and passed the river, and set his face toward Mount Gilead. And the third day after it was told Laban that Jacob fled, then he took his brethren with him, and followed after him 7 days' journey, and overtook him at Mount Gilead. And God came to Laban the Aramite in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob aught save good. Then Laban overtook Jacob, and Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban also with his brethren pitched upon Mount Gilead. Then Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done? Thou hast stolen away mine heart, and carried away my daughters, as though they had been taken captives with the sword. Wherefore didst thou flee so secretly, and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee forth with mirth, and with songs, and with timbrel, and with harp? But thou hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now thou hast done foolishly in doing so. I am able to do you evil, but God of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob aught save good. Now, though thou wentest thy way, because thou greatly longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? Then Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, and thought that thou wouldst have taken my daughters from me. But with whom thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Search thou before our brethren what I have of thine, and take it to thee. But Jacob wist not that Rachel had stolen them. Then came Laban unto Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the two maids' tents, but found them not. So he went out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the idols, and put them under camel's litter, and sat down upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. Then she said to her father, My lord, be not angry that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of woman is upon me. So he searched, but found not the idols. Then Jacob was wroth, and chode with Laban. Jacob also answered and said to Laban, What have I trespassed? What have I offended, that thou hast pursued after me? Seeing thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thine household stuff? Put it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge between us both. This 20 years I have been with thee. Thine ewes and thy goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. Whatsoever was torn of beasts, I brought it not unto thee, but made it good myself. Mine hand didst thou require of it. Were it stolen by day or stolen by night, I was in the day consumed with heat and frost in the night, and my sleep departed from mine eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thine house, and served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy sheep, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, thou surely hadst sent me away now empty. But God beheld my tribulation and the labor of mine hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. Then Laban answered and said to Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these sons are my sons, and these sheep are my sheep, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or to their sons which they have borne? Now therefore come, let us make a covenant, I and you, which may be a witness between me and thee. Then took Jacob a stone, and set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, Gather stones. He brought stones and made an heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Galeed. For Laban said, This heap is witness between me and thee this day. Therefore he called the name of it Galeed. Also he called it Mizpah, because he said, The Lord look between me and he, and when we shall be parted one from another. If thou shalt vex my daughters, or shalt take wives besides my daughters, there is no man with us. Behold, God is witness between me and thee. Moreover, Laban said to Jacob, Behold, this heap and this pillar, which I have set between me and thee, this heap shall be a witness, and the pillar shall be a witness, that I will not come over this heap to thee, and thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for evil. The God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, and the God of their father be judge between us. But Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob did offer a sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up, and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And Laban departing went unto his place again.
Genesis chapter 32. Now Jacob went forth on his journey, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, This is God's host. And he called the name of the place Mahanaim. Then Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother, unto the land of Seir, into the country of Edom.